So how long are you willing to strike? As long as it takes.
Tonight, production of Boeing's popular 737 MAX jet and its 777 grinding to a halt. The company now set to lose an estimated $108
Wow,
million
hey everybody, how you doing?
This strike could potentially impact 1.5 million people who work
take
at
action
other
and do that. Yeah. Hey everybody, how you doing? And this is a live stream I started because my longtime friend, Oakland developer Phil Tagami, really, he's not really in Oakland anymore, but whatever. He is in terms of his business being located there still. Oakland developer Phil Tagami has said on Twitter, he asked why Oakland salaries were so far over those in the rest of the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'll show you the tweet where he put that out there. And I said, no, Phil, you're looking at the wrong way. And he says, okay, well, I'm here for it. Show me the right way to look at it. And I said I would do that yesterday, and then had to take care of a personal matter, and so wasn't able to. And so today I'm discussing the situation because it's one that needs to be addressed in full. And so it's I think I'm actually putting this on Twitter right now as I speak. But yeah, here we go. Making sure that this gets properly seated. And I'm going to show you, first of all, Phil's tweet to me, or Phil's tweet rather, first that triggered the tweet to me, and then we'll go from there. So trying to figure out, yeah, there it is right here. All right. This is on September 12th. So I'm going to go back to my trusty StreamYard system and call up the screen so you'll see the map he's talking about. And we can go from there in terms of, I'm trying to find Twitter all the time. It doesn't, where the tweet, yeah, there it is. I found it. Okay. Right here. All right. This is what Phil put out. And what this map shows. This is on Twitter too. He is at Philip H. Tagami or PT or P Tagami. And it says Oakland compensation spending actuals versus COLA. COLA is cost of living adjustment. And total wages grew $101 million more than the required COLA, which was a 73% increase and 19% faster than the rate of 1.9% faster than the rate of inflation. 93% of wage growth was due to pay raises, and 7% was due to increased overtime hours. Full-time staff increase was offset by part-time staff reduction, resulting in a zero net impact to total wage costs. Pension benefits grew $116 million more than the required COLA, which was a 210% increase and 5.5 times faster than the rate of inflation. And they say health benefit grew $4 million more. Okay. See, in caps, this is a sloppy map. And the reason is that first of all, it goes from 2013 to 2023, a 10-year period. And it assumes that the exact same number of officers and employees were in place, okay, during this time. It doesn't take into account the fact that people leave their jobs, that new jobs open, and those new jobs that are opening have higher salaries than the previous position. And so guess what? That job gets filled. And because that job is filled, that new salary becomes the new norm. And from that point on, you have that contributes to the higher salary level for Oakland that we see. But there's something else too. Overtime here is not properly represented when it reads that overtime, that 7% was due to the increase in overtime hours in terms of wage growth. Because for the Oakland police alone, overtime pay has increased 83% over this period from 2003 all the way up to 2013, excuse me, all the way up to 2023. And it's a whopping increase. This takes every position and puts it into the same bailiwick and says here. But the real truth is that of all of these positions, okay, and this is something else that has to be considered, of all the positions and all the spending in Oakland, the highest expenditures are for police and fire. Those are the highest expenditures. All right. In fact, the expenditures for police and fire at one point comprised about, I believe, 60% of the budget or thereabouts. And what is it today? Let's see, percent of total Oakland budget that is police. And so it's basically, the question was asked back in 2021, does Oakland spend nearly half of its budget on policing? And 2023, someone claimed to have done a deep dive. Oakland spent $330 million on police, and they were diving into the shortfall, or basically KQED was claiming to do so. All right. But because Chang had faced the largest budget deficit ever. But the total budget for the city of Oakland at the time was $4.2 billion. $4.2 billion. And so of that $4.2 billion, all right, it roughly about almost 400 million was for police, almost 400 million. And it's it is substantially the largest part of the Oakland budget, substantially. And so because of that, and also because of the cost of living in Oakland in general, but more for police, we have to say that the crime rate, that crime chart, has caused or contributed to the higher than normal rate of pay in Oakland. It's a combination of attrition and replacement, thereby bringing on people who will gain the new higher salary. For police, it's overtime pay. It's also overtime pay for other organizations that also are activated, like 911 program and so on, because of high crime rates. So the argument I'm making is that that number is the price of running an Oakland government in the middle of a crime crisis. And we've had this crime crisis for a long time. This is the first set of years in the 21st century, actually the second set of years. We had that earlier. There's a second set of years in the 21st century where we've had homicides over 100 for each year. We've had that for the last 4 years. This time we had it, I believe, for 3 years I believe of 2005, 6, 7. I have to check that. We've had these areas before, these gigantic rises in crime going back to the 90s and looking at the data, and really before that, going back to the 70s. When you look at data that extends back that far, okay? So we have a crime problem that has always been tied to economic development. And it started developing in the late 80s, a bit in the late 70s, tied to drug use and primarily Black unemployment. And then it worsened in the 80s because Oakland lost its manufacturing base. It's firms like, did you know that General Motors once had a plant in Oakland to build cars? Right. So you take all of that away and manufacturing, and you don't replace it with jobs that are equally low skill and well paying, and yet the people are staying there and they breed other people. And what you get is an electorate that has a significant portion of its people who are not able to take advantage of all that life has to offer and are doing crimes. Of course, now it's a different story in this social media world. You have people coming from outside to do crimes in Oakland. They make videos, and I believe that they're paid to do that so that those videos become part of a national fake news campaign. They say, see, that city is dangerous. That city is ran by Democrats. Okay. I believe that's what's been going on. And the city needs to investigate these happenings like the hangman's noose incidents from that perspective. But there you go, Phil. It's crime. Crime has driven it. And I dare anybody to prove otherwise. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark oaklandnewsonline.com. That ends the stream.